Your Pokemon Professor, Professor Salzman here, bringing you today another review video. This one focused on two-step equations. So, do you remember two-step equations? Now, there are a lot of equations that can be solved with two steps, but for us, two-step equations specifically refer to ones that are solved using just the first two steps of order of operations, specifically order of operations for solving equations. So we're going to look at some sample problems that involve integer coefficients, and then we're going to take a look at one that has a fraction as a coefficient. Now, our steps for success. So like I said, we're solving two-step equations. Those are equations that specifically follow the first two steps for order of operations for solving equations. That would be addition, and then step 2 would be multiplication. If you watched some of my other review videos, then you'll know why I only have addition and multiplication on my steps of order of operations. So here's our first example. On this equation, we have a constant term of 12, a variable term of minus 10n, and on the right side of the equation, we have a constant of negative 28. This is the basic structure of what we mean by a two-step equation. On one side of the equation, we have a constant term and a variable term, and on the other side of the equation, we have a constant term. The first thing we need to do is deal with that constant term. Since I have a positive 12, in order to cancel out a positive 12, I need to use subtraction. And remember our rules for solving equations, that golden rule or that important rule: whatever you do to one side, you must also do to the other side of the equation. So I am subtracting 12 from both sides of the equation. On the left side, 12 minus 12 is going to cancel out, leaving us with just a negative 10n. And on the right side, we're going to combine our negative 28 minus 12, and this leaves us with an equation of negative 10n equals negative 40. So the subtraction was our first step. Now we have to get rid of or cancel out that coefficient of negative 10. Now I always cancel out coefficients in exactly the same way. I multiply by the reciprocal. Whenever you multiply a number by the reciprocal, it'll cancel out, leaving you with a coefficient of 1, and that's what we want on our variable. That's when we have our solved equation. In this case, the reciprocal of negative 10 is negative 1 over 10. I'm going to, again, multiply negative 1 over 10 to both sides of the equation. Negative 1 over 10 times negative 10, since these are reciprocals, they will cancel out, leaving us with a coefficient of 1, or just the variable n. On the right side, we have negative 1 over 10 times negative 40. If it's easier for you, think of this also as division. Negative 40 divided by negative 10. Or if you are good with fractions, you can think of it as negative 1/10 times negative 40, which leaves you with a fraction of 40 over 10, which in both cases, whether you think about it as fractions or as division, you get an answer of n equals 4. Okay, let's look at our second example. This time we're going to have a fraction as a coefficient. Here's our example. On the left side, we have a constant term and a variable term. On the right side, we have a constant term. So, step 1, let's cancel out that constant term. Since I have a negative 26, I want to make sure I cancel that out by adding to both sides. So I'm going to add 26 on both sides. The negative 26 plus 26, that's going to cancel out and leave us with a 1/4 b on the left side. On the right side, negative 24 plus 26 leaves us with a positive 2. Now I'm going to move on to the next slide, and we're going to continue from here. I have a coefficient of 1/4. I still use the exact same steps as I did for the last example. I want to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of that coefficient. The reciprocal of 1/4, well, that would be 4. And just like all reciprocals, whenever we multiply reciprocals together, they're going to cancel out, leaving us with a coefficient of 1. And on the right side, we have 4 times 2, and our answer is b equals 8. So as you go through algebra, you're going to see a lot of times where you're going to end up simplifying or solving equations where all of a sudden you're back to a two-step equation, which then makes this skill very, very important if you're going to be successful in algebra. Once again, thanks to SlidesGo for helping me with the structure of my presentation.